see sky has painted new clouds. Hurry up before you're lost in the crowd. Lately, there is so much weight on your head. Don't you mind tears, they come and they go. Only love is worth keeping beating the rhythm of the heart. What I wanna hear is the rhythm of your heart beating, the rhythm of your heart, the rhythm, the rhythm, the rhythm. Tell me the rhythm of your heart beating, the rhythm, the rhythm. As our bodies meet, your breath trembles in my ear.
Your valleys, your mountains, the sky so deep and blue, the tundras, the glaciers, all belong to you. Sing me a song of a land so free, beautiful Alaska, where my heart will always be. Green forests, blue waters, the well beneath the sand, the beauty, the splendor never touched by human hand. Sing me a song of a land so fine, beautiful Alaska, she will always be mine. How could there ever be a land so big and free, where through the age of time came a land so fine?
Even more than old houses, totem poles are reminders of the traditions of our Southeast Alaska past. This totem pole was carved by Nathan Jackson in 1980 as part of Juneau's centennial celebration. And even though it was carved in modern times, it was carved in the traditional style. Although Jackson is well known for his totem pole carving, he's also active and proficient in working with jewelry, with painting, and with teaching. In addition to this location, Jackson's totem poles also stand in other parts of Alaska, the lower 48, England, Japan, and Australia. And common to all of Nathan Jackson's work is satisfaction with accomplishments done by his own hand.
And then the one that's working on the beak there is Nathan Jackson, and he's our master carver here, and he has poles that are all over the world.
I really enjoy accomplishments that have been done with my hands, you know, and commission work where I've been paid for it. And just like any other job, I mean, you work for it. You know, I've had times in my life when I tried to get jobs here and there and didn't get anywhere. And there were starving periods in my life, early in my life. And I think I appreciate having to do something, contributing something, you know. And I think over the years there have been many different projects that have come up. And whenever I'm challenged with something, I don't think I want to let it loose.
This is what the pole's supposed to look like when it gets done here.
Whenever I do something, you have to start with paper. You have to take it to a sketch pad. I usually take and draw something 1 inch to the foot. And so it gives me something to play with, not not a real small scale, because it's harder to get a lot of detail in. I think if I was doing it, you know, from scratch, I'd probably go out and select a log. Just go in the woods, go in areas that they've been logging, or where there have been pretty well noted good trees, good straight grain trees. Usually where there wouldn't be hardly any wind, and pretty much in a valley type area, so that there'd be no stresses involved or weather checks. And the top of the tree would have to be with a lot of branches, and the trunk area would have to be pretty clear. After getting it down, then I'd shore it up, then use a chainsaw mill to cut the cedar bark, I mean the bark off, and also line it up straight with a board, and end up with 4 corners on it and flat on the back. And then I'd hollow out the back of the log. I'd establish a line on there. Then I start chopping away in areas that is round. And then lay out the design, and usually end up carving one side first and then carve the other side, so I can see what I want. As far as rules in the carving, in working with wood, usually or sometimes you have a tree that has a slight twist to it. So you have to take into account what is happening to your wood. And so usually there's always, in the design aspect of it, planes, so that you don't have something splinter on you. And in order to make patterns with the adze, all the grains got to be pretty much the same in order to get the symmetry as far as one side to the other. I guess with a raising of a pole or something like that. We've, you know, I've done some poles where I didn't even stick around for it being raised, you know, because there are other things to me are more important, and that's my family. I've had commissions during the fall season where it started coming up towards the winter season, you know, and you can see snow on the mountains already. And with that, I know that I'm not going to stick around if my family's burning wood. I'm not going to stick around to even watch it being raised, because that to me, that is a more of a priority, is my family. About feeling of accomplishment when they are up, you know, sometimes they look a little different than when they're down on the ground. I think they look better when they're up, and that's what they're made for anyway. And so I do feel kind of good about it. If you're endeavoring to be an artist, the more important thing in the earlier stages of being an artist is drawing, because you're trying to come up with a likeness, trying to copy, and to make that transfer from what you see to what you're putting on the paper. After over a period of time, you can develop it through practice. The cliche of practice makes perfect. I think you spend a lot of time even developing styles. That what I'm trying to accomplish a lot of times is try to get some of the old examples and copy them, and try to create from what I see. I just love to work with my hands, and sometimes even the frustration of doing something that really doesn't work out too well. Sometimes that can be frustrating, but if you have enough patience and know your tools and know what you're working with, usually you can be able to accomplish, you know, what you set out to do.
Was there a power unknown to this world that caused it to tremble and shake? Or was there a reason we mortals don't know for the big Alaskan earthquake? The evening was quiet and peaceful that day up there on Alaska's shore. Good Friday before the Easter weekend in the year 1964. An earthquake came roaring through early that night, rolling its way through the land. From the ocean to the mountains it rumbled along, though guided by some unknown hand. much concern. It was only a regular tremor, they said. When it's over, peace would return. Stronger and stronger it rumbled along, and the buildings were tumbling down. It trembled, it twisted, it heaved and it roared, spread terror and fear all around. The ground opened wide, deep gorges of death, then closed and opened once more. And the victims that fell in its pathway were gone as the jaws of the earth closed the door. And buildings were falling and burning that night, destruction and fear everywhere. Then a great tidal wave rushed from the ocean to find more death, heartaches, destruction, and despair. And then finally the trembling and shaking were gone. There was peace in the earth once again. But the tragedies left on that Easter weekend in memory would always remain. Was there a power unknown to this world that caused it to tremble and shake? Was there a reason we mortals don't know for the big Alaskan earthquake? Was there a reason we mortals don't know for the big Alaskan earthquake?
Soapy Smith was a gambling man, made his living selling make-believe. He earned his name 'cause he talked so slick, carried a derringer up his sleeve. On a rainy, foggy Skagway night, Soapy came to town, pickings ready and ripe, with the voice of saints and soul of Satan, confused to wander of roads not taken, to take a path that he knew so well, to wonder if destiny was hell, to take a town with it. Both sides could have learned a lot. Chaco's dreams went up in burning flames. Love the devil's helper, don't feel no shame. They would have died upon the trail in a rugged land. Only strong prevail. Seems that life can end so fast. This morning sun might be your last. In every man there's good and bad. Why must this man be so sad? Smith was not a violent man, but his thieves and thugs, they got out of hand. Knowing well his end to time, 'cause Waterloo was his own kind. Big Frank Reed did make his play. Soapy screamed, don't shoot, 2 men died that day. A hero climbs triumphant stairs, but what of those with no glory to wear? Statues crumble to the ground, and neither body makes a sound. Seems that life can end so fast. This morning sun might be your last. In every man there's good and bad. Why must this man be so sad? A gambler's life is hard, they say. So hard, so hard, so hard. have a heavy heart if every dream is torn apart. Remember, tomorrow is another day. If each thing you say or do is twist until it sounds untrue, remember, tomorrow is another day. You will find a love to guide you, faith will show the light. Keep in mind God walks beside you through the darkest night. Foolish pride may cause you pain, and though your life is filled with rain, remember, tomorrow is another day. Guide you, faith will show the light. Keep in mind God walks beside you through the darkest night. Foolish pride may cause you pain, and though your life is filled with rain, remember, tomorrow is another day. One love is stronger, stronger than all the promises of fame and fashion, nights of passion. One love is closer than anything that comes from two or three. That's what it is to me, hoping to find a clue, some way to let me know that's what it is to you. One love is deeper, deeper than any romance story, wrapped in fiction, based on glory. This one is searching for someone who doesn't think that love is blind, someone with open eyes, someone who wants to fly, someone who's not afraid that I will say goodbye. let me know that's what it is to you. One love is deeper, deeper than any romance story, wrapped in fiction, based on glory. This one is searching for someone who doesn't think that love is blind, someone with open eyes, someone who wants to fly, someone who's not afraid that I will say goodbye. Someone who's not afraid that I will say goodbye.
It's pretty peaceful here right now, but it wasn't very peaceful here in this whole southern cruise-off island for several hundreds of thousands of years. Why, there was a lot of volcanic activity and probably a lot of earthquakes with that, and certainly towards the end there were the violent eruptions of the ash deposits.
This is the Mount Edgecumbe volcanic field. Located 16 miles west of Sitka, it covers the southern half of Cruise-Off Island, an area of about 100 square miles. Two major fault systems are adjacent to the field. One runs through Neva Straits, Sitka, and Silver Bay. The other runs under the ocean, connecting the Fairweather Range and the Queen Charlotte Islands. Geologists theorized that a fracture between these faults created a weak spot, allowing Mount Edgecumbe and more than a dozen other volcanic vents to form on the island. Mount Edgecumbe is the largest of the volcanic cones with an elevation of 3,200 feet. It was created by a colorful combination of lava flows and ash deposits.
When the light is on Edgecumbe, you not only see the red, but you see a lot of orange and you see a lot of yellow. And It's really a spectacular combination of colors, and those colors represent different ash layers and different lava flows that are in that cone. And the reason that Edgecumbe built itself up and stayed up is that it's this alternation of ashes and lava flows that are coming out from the central vent area.
Potassium argon and radiocarbon dating techniques reveal Mount Edgecumbe to be about 35,000 years old. But more recent and more violent eruptions happened elsewhere on the island. At nearby Crater Ridge, large amounts of hot ash were hurled into the air 10,000 years ago. These ash explosions are a dramatic contrast to the earlier, more peaceful lava flows of 600,000 years ago.
This is really an exciting place because we are at the bottom of the volcanic pile in a place where the rocks are probably amongst the oldest rocks in the whole volcanic field. So we're looking at where it all started, and we're looking at rocks that are a combination of sedimentary rock like a sandstone or shale and volcanic rock. The pieces that you see, the volcanic pieces, come in a big variety of shapes, and some of them are quite rounded and are called pillows. They're where liquid rock or magma came into the water and immediately cooled and assumed a kind of a spheroidal shape. Then there are other ones that are very angular, and those also are from the magma coming right into the water and shattering. This is a good example of these aquagene tuffs, these volcanic rocks that formed when the lava came right into the ocean and shattered. This rock has a lot of small, angular, black fragments in it, and those are almost pure glass. Some of the gray fragments are a different kind of rock, and there are about 3 or 4 different kinds of volcanic rock in here. And what this says is that this part of the ocean was getting a variety of magmas into it in probably a relatively short span of time. This is exactly the kind of rock that we got the microfossil out of.
Just as marine fossils indicate this part of the volcanic field began underwater, other clues reveal that a glacier partially covered the field between eruptions.
Underneath this flow, there's a layer here that has boulders of granitic rock in it, and then below this layer with the granitic boulders, there are more lava flows. Well, these rocks down below, over there, are about 300,000 years old, and these rocks here are about 45,000 years old. So during that time, these boulders somehow got in between. Well, the boulders we know came from a rock unit that's exposed further north on Cruzoff Island, and they've been rounded, and they were transported by a glacier and deposited in Glacier Hill, which is up on the hillside there about 150 feet above us. And then normal beach processes, erosive action along this shore a long, long time ago, let those boulders come out of the glacial till down onto this old ancient beach here, where they were resting when this lava came along at about 45,000 years ago. What caught my eye here was the possibility that this is an old lava tube, and a very large one. And the way those things form is that the lava is flowing along and it starts hardening from the outside in, and it piles itself up, and so you get a hard outer shell and you have the molten inside, and then the molten inside flows away from the outside and it leaves just the rim standing. And in this case, I think that's what we're seeing. There probably was a roof over this, and the roof has been eroded off by the action of the sea. This whole west side of the island has features like this, lots of domes, lots of tubes, many of the volcanic features that you associate with lava flows on Hawaii, actually, you can see here on Cruzoff just as well. Down the shore is kind of a nice feature. We're seeing here the juxtaposition of some of the oldest features in the volcanic field and some of the youngest ones. This is an ashfall deposit. Now, not all the stuff here is ash. It's too coarse grain. There are blocks and bigger pieces in here. It's almost all glassy material, and it's one of the younger deposits in the whole volcanic field. It was blown into the air. This one probably came out of Mount Edgecumbe itself, went high in the air, tens of thousands of feet possibly, and then came right straight back down. These great big pieces are clear indications that it hasn't come obviously too far. There are other things in the rock other than the glassy material, which is the original material of the eruption. There are dark fragments of different kinds here. These are pieces from the throat of the volcano that got chewed off in the eruptive process and got entrained with the glassy material and formed this steep cliff. When you look up along the cliff, there's a horizontal surface, and that's the break between this unit and the unit up above. That actually has a little sediment on it, and it indicates that there was some kind of interruption time-wise. Now, probably not very much, because the best information we have suggests that these deposits right here are about 11,000 years old. The unit that's up above, we know from a date that we got on some wood not very far from here, it's about 9,700 years old.
Ash from these eruptions covered much of northern southeast Alaska. In Glacier Bay, ashfall measured ½ an inch. In Juneau, nearly an inch fell. And in Sitka, the fallout averaged more than 3.5 feet.
If there were an eruption of the kind that happened about 11,000 years ago, right now, Sitka would be in serious trouble, because there would be recurrent ash flows, accumulations of probably up to ½ a meter at a time, and there would be no mechanical devices that would be working, no engines, no airplanes, no cars, anything of that kind. And so when you look around Edgecumbe, or look around Sitka, you can see the Edgecumbe ash, and it's up to 1 meter thick, 2.5 meters thick, I think is the maximum that was measured over there. And so that's a lot of ash. And it didn't all come at once. All the ash that we've been talking about probably came out sporadically over a period of about 1,000 years. And it came with warnings. So had there been people in Sitka at that time, and had they known what we know now, they would have known that something was going to happen, and hopefully would have gotten out of there.
The most recent eruption in the Edgecumbe volcanic field happened between 4,000 and 6,000 years ago. It was a relatively small event, perhaps smaller than the recent eruptions at Mount Spur near Anchorage. There is a high probability that a core of molten rock still exists 6 to 12 miles under Mount Edgecumbe and Crater Ridge. That core is slowly cooling, and unless something happens at a greater depth, future eruptions seem unlikely.
One thing that contrasts this field with other fields that are about the same age and look about the same is that there are no hot springs here that are associated with Edgecumbe. There are no fumaroles, there are nothing of that kind that you find in almost all of the Cascade volcanoes. And there are no warm spots. As far as I can tell, all the pilots who fly around here have never told me, and I've asked them off and on, is there any place on the mountain where the snow won't stay during the winter? And no, it seems to stay everywhere. This all seems to be cool at the surface and dormant, if not extinct.
This week on Rain Country, we've gone from geology at mountaintop to birds at sea level. We'll be back again next week at the same time and fill in some of the places in between, and you're invited to join us then. I'm Scott Foster. Have a good day.